Welcome to r/EntitledPeople, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, how I stood firm against an entitled wife demanding a room key. The second story, how I automated my way out of a 10-year job, leaving my terrible boss in the dust. The third story, Gold Coast Showdown taking on an entitled club member, defending a high school prom, and resigning in style. The first story is, wife peeved I won't give her the room number when she's not on the reservation. I remember an entitled guest who was just so upset at me for something her husband did. The husband checked in alone for a room with 2 guests, but only one name was on the reservation, his. I checked him in, gave him his room keys, and sent him on his way to the room. The husband never mentioned that his wife was staying with him and would be stopping by to pick up a key. A few hours later, a woman walks in and says that she needs to pick up a key for her room. Me is me. EW's entitled wife. NH is nice husband. Me. Welcome to Schmapton Inn. How can I help you? EW. I need a key for my room. Me. May I have your name? EW. Entitled woman. Me. I can't find any reservation under that name, either checked in or pending. EW. Oh, it may be under my husband's name. Normal husband. Me. Okay, we do have a room under that name, but I cannot give you a key because your name's not on the reservation. If you need to speak with the room, you can pick up the lobby phone over to the side here, and I can transfer the call to your husband's room. EW. What do you mean you can't give me a key? It's for me and my husband. He checked in already and has the key, but he should have told you I'd be picking up a key later. Me. I do apologize, but he didn't provide any instructions. If you would like to ring the room, the lobby phone is EW. I don't want to ring the room. I want you to give me a key to my room. Me. I don't have any reservation with your name on it, so I cannot give you a key. EW. With the tone of someone explaining quantum physics to a first grader. The room isn't under my name. It's under my husband's name. I need a key because I'm staying in the same room as my husband. Me, internally rolling my eyes and taking a deep, steadying breath. Unless your name is specifically listed on the room, I cannot give you a key or the room number. If you'd like to ring the room, please pick up the lobby phone over here and I can ring the room for you. That way you can speak to your husband and get the room number from him. EW. I just don't understand why you can't just give me the room number for my husband's room. Here, this is my driver's license. Shoves her DL in my face. You can see we have the same name. Just give me the room number or let me speak with your supervisor. Me. I am the front desk supervisor. No other manager is available at the moment. Since you're choosing not to pick up the lobby phone and ring the room, allow me to call the room myself and speak with your husband. I pick up the hotel phone and start to call the room. I don't even get halfway through the room number before the woman starts to yell. EW. I just don't understand why you can't just give me the room number. It's my husband. Don't you understand that? What are you, stupid? Can't you understand a basic concept like that? Me turning on my best military voice. If you continue to yell like that, you'll be asked to leave and will not be staying with us tonight. I'm trying to find every option available to me, but you refuse to cooperate. Now, let me ask you this question. Suppose for a second that you were in an abusive relationship, and you finally found the courage to leave your spouse, and you needed a place to hide out for a few days. You booked a room at a hotel, but somehow your spouse found where you were staying, and they tried to get a room key from the front desk by acting the way you just did. How do you think you would feel if the front desk just gave your abusive spouse a key? EW. Blink. Well, I'm not being abusive to my husband. What are you trying to say? Me. I didn't say you were. But just imagine if that was the case. Would you want the front desk to give your husband a key without checking with you first? That's what I've been trying to do this whole time. If you want to avoid this whole hassle in the future, please ensure your name is added to the reservation at check-in. If your name is on the room, you can get a key, no problem. If not, problem. Now, will you please allow me to call your husband's room? EW says nothing, but just glares daggers at me. I finally call the room, but no one answers. Just then, the elevator door opens up and the husband walks out. I hang up the phone and wave him over. Me. Ah, Mr. NH, I was just calling you. Is anyone else going to be staying with you in the room? If so, we need to add their names to the room so they can get keys. The EW is still fuming at me, but I'm so grateful she didn't interrupt. NH. Oh yes, my wife is staying with me. NH hands his wife a room key with the folder showing the room number. Me. Okay, I'll be sure to add her name to the reservation. Thank you both for your time and have a great night. I thought that was the end of it, but later that same night the couple returned. EW. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for the way I treated you. I realized after talking with my husband that you have no way of knowing what's going on between a couple, so you have just be safe. Thank you for your security process and thank you for putting up with me. Her husband gives me a knowing glance and a clear I'm sorry too look. I thanked them both and went on with my day. Just another day at the front desk. The second story is, turned a 10-year dead-end job into a massive new opportunity. Burned my SH manager on the way out. About a decade ago, I was unexpectedly let go from my position at a family-run business where politics played more than a large hand in my departure. So I immediately reached out to some contacts and had an interview for a position at an international media organization with a branch in my area the same day. In my haste to secure new employment, I ignored some immediate red flags, including my future manager telling me that we don't do anything exciting here. Heck, some guys don't even leave their desks all day, unless it's to use the can. Yet I was given an offer and I took it. More pay with the promise of less work and promised annual bonuses? How could I not? My first day was a flurry of HR meetings and trainings, with little interaction with my actual boss. The second day was the same thing, sans the HR stuff. I think the third day I maybe actually spoke to my boss, outside of a quick, read the handbook and look at the shared documents. I read the handbook 3 times, and couldn't do anything else because my accounts weren't set up or working. Eventually, over the course of weeks, I got working credentials, talked with my new manager briefly, and was more or less just pointed at some outdated documentation and told to figure things out. And I did. We had some antiquated Excel spreadsheet that was a checklist for some server setup process I was supposed to review and learn. So instead of just learning how to do every single manual step in this 40-item spreadsheet, I wrote a series of scripts that would just do it for me. Logging, error checking, the whole 9 yards. I took a manual process that would generally take someone on our team a day or 2 to check and verify, and converted it into a system that a monkey could run, which took like 2 hours and 2 user inputs in that time to complete. Heck, the output could even be imported into the old spreadsheet and used to fill out the checklist to my boss's liking. When I tried to show him this, to say he was nonplussed would be an understatement. He simply didn't even understand what I did, and so by virtue of that didn't like or trust it. So I just stopped telling him when I'd automate these rote tasks he'd had former team members working on, and that became my job for nearly a decade. I would work with other team members to help them if they had issues, and occasionally I would be assigned to projects outside the spectrum of normal system maintenance. But for the most part, my job usually consisted of creating scripts to do the things that my team members had been forced to do manually up until then, because my boss was a complete moron. And for a long time, it didn't bother me enough to completely check out. I tried. I pursued bigger projects, other departments, had conversations with senior staff who would publicly promise to help people find new opportunities, only to have smoke blown up my A for years to no avail. Then the company switched hands for the umpteenth time, and some room full of a-holes in suits somewhere decided that our annual bonuses were no longer guaranteed, and that instead would be determined by the performance reviews specifically handed out by said manager. This was 2020, so we were all allowed to WFH 100% of the time, and I took advantage of it. Why not? With higher bars being set every year, a toxic manager and work environment, and a rotating host of team members with no experience constantly coming and going, my motivation was shot. As the title would suggest, this is where I started realizing that I needed to get the F out of there. But I also didn't want to get another SH job doing the same thing for some other faceless multinational corporation. So I just checked out, set my robots on turbo mode, scripted everything, and started diving deep into the generative AI space. I became heavily involved in the open source community, released some very popular software that I built a whole community around on Discord, and made some incredible contacts in the process. I don't want to call myself a celebrity, but in very specific circles, I have a lot of clout. That lasted for about the past year and a half, when I think my former boss finally started to get the impression that something was up, and so I knew the writing was on the wall. Reached out to some of these contacts I'd made along the way, and with one interview, I had a solid position lined up at a leading startup working with a team of incredible people. I accepted immediately, and after being sure I'd burned all of my sick time, use it or lose it, I contacted HR and asked their official policy regarding required time for giving notice. They were very vague, and never once specifically said that I had to give 2 weeks, but I did anyway. My boss immediately accepted my resignation, agreed to pay me for the 2 weeks anyway, and I also got all my PTO paid out. Was he worried I'd sabotage the whole thing in the 2 weeks I had left? Didn't want to deal with the headaches of me being 100% checked out? Don't really know, don't really care. Remember how I mentioned the company had recently come under new management? Former boss really didn't like this, as he knew it would mean greater scrutiny on his department and shortcomings in general, of which there were so many to list it'd take a whole other post. Let's just say the only way this guy could have made it as far as he did in his career is by having evidence of someone above him, or just outright selling everybody else in his path down the river, or failing upward. That said, I also made sure to fire off a lengthy email to the new president, vice president, and regional manager for our new company, detailing everything I'd witnessed in the past decade. The beauty of sending these massive backslapping emails from the desk of the CEO, am I right? I pointed out the turnover rates, the numerous issues over the years that had been shrugged off as failures of his subordinates, and the general sentiments held by his long-term peers that he was just inept and toxic. And I got a response. An official case has been opened with HR, and for obvious reasons, they can't tell me any more than that. But nonetheless, even if nothing happens, thinking about this A-hat squirming under the lens of an HR investigation is enough to make me smile even now. I'm at a new job with a new team who appreciates me and tells me every day how amazing I am. And I most likely seriously effed up my former boss's retirement plans in the process. The third story is, do you know who I am? I was working at a golf club on the Gold Coast of Long Island, New York. If you know this area, you know the type of people who reside here. Karens get their degrees here. I was the director of events. We were hosting a prom for a local high school. They started with a standing reception on a sectioned off area on the patio before moving into the ballroom. The club was not closed to members, so some were enjoying drinks at the main bar right next to the patio. As I'm walking the first busload of teens to the patio, I see a member climb over the barrier into the event space that was separating the party from the rest of the club. He's drunk and starts lighting up a cigarette. The space is obviously set up for a private event with a sushi station with chefs hand-rolling the sushi, and the dude is just smoking all over them. I get his attention and mouth, "No smoking, please stop." Teens are now walking in and he's just smoking and ignoring me. I say again, "Please stop," and do a hand motion to scoot along. He stares me down, slowly walks over to the ashtray, puts his cigarette out, then walks right up to me, inches away from my face. Do you know who I am? I'm a member and I can do whatever the F I want. He reeked of whiskey. Who the F are you? All of this in front of teens, and some parents who were there to take photos. Me, I work here, and you... Oh, you work here? Then you should know who I am. You can't tell me where I can and cannot smoke. How dare you? Does exaggerated hand motion as to say shoo away. To me, that's offensive in my culture, you effing B. F you. Me, nope, you cannot talk to me like this. I don't care who you are. Follow me. You can't stand here screaming in front of kids. I walk away as he follows me, cussing me out. I'll get another manager for you to deal with. Stand here, outside kitchen doors, so I can find them. He followed me into the kitchen and continued calling me a B in front of my staff. Finally, another manager jumped in between us, but he kept trying to jump over him to get to me. Idiotically, this manager brings him back to the bar to calm down. The dude is now with his drunk friends who are all getting riled up screaming mutiny that a member was mistreated. I find my boss, who immediately tells the guy to leave, that he'll order an Uber, but he's no longer allowed on property. The dude refuses. His friends started raging and causing a scene. Cops were called, the guy was removed, and he was suspended from the club permanently. A few of his friends too. Oh, and I quit 2 weeks later once I got a better job. They begged me to stay. I had the best sales record, but that was just the last straw of many other instances. Many. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good day.